Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca Lee and I'm the Online Services Coordinator here at ACCESS Employment, and I just want to welcome you to our online event series for the month of September. So here with me today is actually my new colleague Sonia Siddiqui. Hi Sonia.
Hi everyone, thank you Rebecca. I'm very excited to be here.
Great, and Sonia is our employment consultant here, and we're very excited for this month as we do have 7 webinar events, including 2 online workshops. So the first online workshop that we have today is actually mostly facilitated by Sonia, and it's going to be called Build Your Perfect Canadian Style Resume. This is actually part 1 of a 3 series, and we will be able to tell you more about that later on in this webinar. And those of you that are joining us for the first time from all over the world and across Canada, this is a very, very warm welcome to all of you. And I just want to thank you so much for those of you that are dedicated and subscribing to us for the many months as well. Thank you so much for all of your support. So without further ado, we're just going to go right into the webinar. Just a little bit about ACCESS Employment for those of you that are joining us for the first time. So we have been around for over 30 years, and we have provided services and programs to job seekers as well as new Canadians as well. Across our 5 locations in the Toronto area, we have established over 2,000 plus employer relationships across a variety of sectors and industries. ACCESS delivers a variety of sector-specific programs, communications training, and mentoring programs to our clients. We also deliver online services, such as the online workshop that you're attending today, as well as upcoming webinars to pre-arrival job seekers, as well as job seekers located across Canada as well. Whether or not you're a newcomer, you're a new grad, or you're someone that's just looking to make a career change or your next move, we are here to help. So without further ado, I'm just going to have Sonia introduce herself.
So to summarize this lovely bio of myself, I help internationally trained professionals, such as a lot of you, to pick out what to wear for your next job interview. Actually not kidding, because what not to wear is actually a part of our interview workshop, which we'll be doing maybe over the course of the next few weeks. I've provided employment coaching to tons of clients. I have helped them succeed in their job search. I love doing what I do at work. Outside of work, I like going to all sorts of festivals and events to explore arts, culture, music, and food.
Thank you, Sonia. And just a little bit about myself as well, Rebecca. So I do support the online services team at ACCESS Employment. So I do create a number of virtual networking events to connect job seekers nationally as well as around the world with reputable employers and newcomer professionals as well. I am a huge talent advocate for internationally trained professionals. I've also worked as a job developer helping 200 plus internationally trained finance and banking professionals relaunch and find their way in Canada as well. So prior to my career at ACCESS, I also worked in talent acquisition, business development, and marketing for the telecommunications, executive search, as well as consulting sector as well. In my free time, so I also love festivals as well, but I also enjoy traveling around the world, meeting people from many different cultures, and trying very exotic foods. So without further ado, let's go right into our online workshop.
So in this workshop, what we're going to do is we're going to basically break down the entire resume. So as you can see, we're going to go over contact information, career profile versus objectives, skills and competencies, your professional experience, education, training, volunteering, and then a few resume tips about formatting and staying positive during your job search. So we're going to start over the general resume and how it looks. So here are the main components of a resume that you should include. Generally, that's what the titles are, name and contact information. The purpose is to provide a prospective employer with many different ways of getting in touch with you. Be sure to include your current contact information and an email that is professional. I am going to explain each one of these in detail further. Profile or objective. The purpose is to capture in a few words or phrases what makes you unique, hireable, and a good fit for this particular position. Be sure to include keywords from the job position in this statement. Skills and competencies. The purpose is to briefly summarize your key professional skills and experiences. Your relevant work experience, which is your professional experience. Here you should indicate previous work experience that is relevant to the position that you're applying for, and the company, the job title, dates of employment, and key responsibilities and accomplishments should be included here. Your education and training section, this should include all relevant education and training that you have obtained over the years. Your professional certifications, licenses. In this section, you should share any additional professional development that is relevant to the position. You can also indicate your commitment to ensuring that your skills are current. Your volunteer experience and interests. Here, the purpose is to present a complete picture of your skills and interests and to show that you are a well-rounded individual with multiple interests through your volunteer experience. So we're going to start breaking down contact information. When it comes to writing a resume, this section is straightforward as it gets. Here are the essentials now. Your full name, first and last, phone number in the format provided, so you can see how it says brackets 416, and your number, there's 3 digits, and then there's 4 digits. Some people would do 416, 2224, and 444. This is also how you would say your number when you're speaking to someone as well. So please do not include any +1s or hashtags. We always use the area code in brackets. Some commonly used area codes in the GTA are 416, 647, 905, and now since we're a growing population, so there's a lot more like 437, 289, and I'm seeing new ones every day. So this is generally the format that you would use for the phone numbers. Moving on to your email address, try to stick to your first and last name, like in the example shown. Gmail is probably the most popular email service provider. Avoid using email addresses with your nickname or your child's name or your pet's name in it. We all love our children and our pets, but let's keep them out of our resumes. Also, avoid using email addresses such as, I don't know, libraking@gmail.com or like sweet chocolate butterfly@gmail.com. Believe me, I've seen these. I've seen clients saying something super cool and dashing at hotmail.com. It's nice that you're super cool, but we don't really need to put that on our resume. Also, try to avoid using any foreign or unknown email service providers such as yahoo.in.co or redmail.uk. So you want to show the employer that you're in Canada, you're looking for jobs in Canada, you're going to be here. So be Canadian on your resume. We're basically trying to Canadianize your resume here. Location, you don't need to put your full address with your postal code as long as you can put the city and province on there. So it could be Toronto, Ontario, Mississauga, Ontario, and you don't need to put Ontario. ON is fine. It could be Oakville, Ontario, Burlington. So just the name of your town or city is fine. You don't have to put your full address on there. And I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing that either, which is fine. Moving on to your LinkedIn, if you have a nice professional profile set up with, let's say, around 300 followers and a nice professional picture with a nice plain background, go ahead and share your LinkedIn profile on your resume as well. You do not need to post, copy and paste the entire link. You can find the shorter version in your profile section, and it should be something like the one mentioned on this slide. I'm going to just ask you a question, and let's see how people react to this. Should you use a career profile or resume objective on your resume? This is a poll, so if you look to your GoToWebinar, it has been launched. So I'm just going to give you a few seconds to answer. So should you use a career profile or a resume objective on your resume? Yes, you should use a resume profile or a resume objective or a combination of both. I like how you guys think. Most of you are saying a combination of both. That's always safe to say, right? Rather than choose one or the other. Okay, let's find out what employers feel. I like combination of both too. That would be my answer as well. So let's see the difference between the two. Now, most hiring managers recommended using a career profile instead of an objective. A career profile offers applicants a way to stand out among the hundreds of resumes that companies receive. Most employers spend only a few seconds looking at a resume, and most of this time is spent looking at the top half of a resume. Therefore, even if employers only read your profile, which is located directly beneath your heading and contact information, they will still have a clear idea of your unique qualifications. This is basically when you're answering the question, tell me about yourself. So if they like that part enough, they might not even, that will make them want to read on. And this is the part that, because the top part of the resume is what attracts employers for them to move forward. If they don't like what they see there and it looks like something that they've seen in the resume before that, they're just going to look at the next resume. In addition, your profile can include resume keywords that will help your application get picked up by the ATS that many companies use to screen applications for job openings. So a lot of companies, since there's about 1,000 resumes going in, a lot of employers have the ATS system that they use to filter out resumes. So if you have most of the keywords that the job ad is asking for, most likely your resume will make it through the filter. If not, then a human didn't even look at your resume. That's the sad part. So stating an objective on your resume is a way to convince employers that you know what you want in a job, while a profile explains what you have to offer the employer and can help sell yourself as a candidate. So times are changing, and it's nice what you want in a company, but we have to convince the employer that you have what it takes to do the job. So let me go over an example. Let's say your objective states experienced brand manager seeking a position at so-and-so company. That's it. So that's nice. You're looking for any sort of position. That doesn't help me. I don't know. You need to be more specific, and I really don't want to read on to your resume because there's probably 100 more that look like that. A profile might state something like a brand manager with 10 years of experience in retail banking, success in developing creative branding strategies to exceed nationwide targets. So that's heavier. Unlike the objective, the profile answers the question, what can this applicant offer the employer? So it's more personalized and it's relatable to the employer. They can see what they're looking for. Keep your profile concise. A resume profile should be between 1 and 4 sentences long. Keep it very brief because you don't want it too heavy at the top of your resume, and you don't want the reader to get bored. Again, they have 5 seconds to look at your entire resume. You can write your profile as a short paragraph or in bullet form. Focus on the job listing, so the job that you're applying for. In your profile, only include the skills and qualifications that relate to the specific job that you're applying for. A profile is particularly helpful if you have a work history that is unrelated to your current career goals. It allows you to highlight not only your most relevant experience to match the position you are applying to. So do not put any personal information in there, like your marital status. Don't put anything general. Like I've seen resumes where it says, oh, looking for work in Canada. That could mean anything. So be specific, just like the example I gave you. All right, so moving on to skills and competencies. This is sort of like what your section should look like. The resume skills section and the profile section are the most visible sections because, again, they're in the top half of the resume. That's because skills and qualifications are what employers are really looking for. So these two sections should immediately grab the attention of the hiring manager. What are key skills for your resume? Key skills are work-related skills that you need to do a job. Most often, you can find key skills in job descriptions. Where do you put your skills on a resume? Skills are so very, very important that they should show up all over your resume, not just the skills section over here. But you do need a professional skills section, and it should be in a prominent place on your resume. That's why we're keeping it right below our resume profile. Also, make sure that a couple of your key skills appear in your profile and cover letter. Several should show up in your experience section, and just sprinkle a couple through your education section if you can. One of the reasons that you will want to do something like this is because of the applicant tracking system again. If you want to get picked up, if you want your resume to filter through, make sure that you're putting them all over your resume. You can put a mix of your hard and soft skills in this section. Avoid things like saying, oh, I'm a quick learner, I can manage myself. I mean, we're all adults. I think we can all manage ourselves. Punctual, you have to be punctual. Like, that's a given. So don't put things like that are already a given. Like, that's something that you should have. Think outside the box, but try to match whatever the job ad is asking for. As per languages, I see a lot of people putting fluent in English. You really don't have a choice. If you're applying to a workplace where English is a first language, i.e. in Canada, you are going to have to know English. So instead of saying languages known, you could just say other languages. And just don't put English there, because obviously you know English. So other languages, and then you can put whatever it is. It's French, Mandarin, whatever it may be, as other languages. You don't need to mention English, because you already know English. Your resume is in English. Okay, so moving on to professional experience. So this goes under your skills and competencies section. And here you should indicate previous work experience that is relevant to the position. Remember, everything that you're putting onto your resume is relevant to the position you're applying to. Yes, that means you're going to have 100 different resumes. Not really, but close enough, because you are going to have to target your resume for each job that you're applying to. So here you should have the company, job title, dates of employment, and key responsibilities and accomplishments should be included here. So as you can see that your job title or position comes first on top of the employer's name. This is because you are more important than where you worked. The employer wants to see who you were and what you did and what you are capable of providing to the new employer, all regardless of where you've done it. You need to emphasize on your skills and abilities and just how well you can perform rather than focusing on where you've done it. They don't care who your employer was. They want to see your abilities, your accomplishments, the drive that you have. What can you do? And again, you could just put the city and the province beside the name, beside the employer name. You must use bullets to show your responsibilities. Try to focus on responsibilities that can also be portrayed as accomplishments. Use numbers to quantify your accomplishments. We will actually be doing another workshop in the upcoming weeks talking about how to write effective accomplishment statements to make your resume stand out. Now, in some cases, you might have worked in the same company and maybe gotten promoted or switched roles. So in that case, you will have to put your employer name at the top, like so, as you can see over here. And your latest job position or title would go here, and you're going to put the years that you worked. You're going to, again, list the same way. You're going to list the skills, your responsibilities, your accomplishments, and then the previous job title, which was at the same company, the dates of employment, and you're going to write it in the same format. Always start with an action verb. Example, developed, created, implemented, but don't keep repeating the same words again. You can look online. There's tons of action verbs that you can start, that you could put on a resume. Something that we commonly see is achieved or managed. So try to think of other words, and we have the great thesaurus online. You can look over there. But if you just Google action verbs for resumes, you're gonna see tons and tons of words, and you're gonna be very happy to see them all. And try to keep simple language. Don't be too linguistic with because we want to keep the resume as simple as we can. Moving to education and training. So you can split this into two sections, as you can see, one for education and training and one for any relevant memberships or affiliations you have that could add value to your targeted resume for the job you're applying to. If you have several memberships or workshops that you've attended, only focus on the ones that would add value to your resume for the job you're applying to. Like, for example, if you're applying to, let's say, an accounting position, your culinary cooking skills certificate may not be considered as relevant. So it's nice that you have that. You can make a nice meal at home for your family, but you don't need to add it to your resume if you're applying for an accounting job. So you can always add or remove whatever it is that you need on your resume in order to target it directly for the job that you're applying to. So let's say your university is not in Canada, which is probably the case for a lot of you. You would still write down, so I've mentioned over here, so you would write down the degree or diploma, whatever it may be, the institution, and then you can just write the country. And if you notice over here, we're writing the years completed. We're not writing 2008 to 2011. We're just writing the dates that were completed. And as part of memberships, that's a little different because maybe you became a member since then and it's renewed every year, so you would write something like this. And then same format moving forward. All right, volunteering is extremely important in Canada. So, and it should go on your resume if you have volunteer experience. So this can actually be an excellent way to showcase your key skills, such as like event planning, fundraising, patient care, whatever that is that you have done for volunteer work. It should certainly be integrated with any other work experiences on your resume. I see a lot of resumes that just kind of mention, oh, volunteered at ABC organization. That's all it says. Like the employer wants to know more. If they are interested in you, they do want to know more. Like, what did you do at so and so organization? So you should always mention what you actually did there to show how it could be relatable to the position that you're applying to. So I'm sure that a lot of newcomers in Canada who are not working, they tend to start volunteering. So that's something that they can use as experience on their resume. So it looks just like your professional experience layout, and it helps add value to your resume. Our resume tips section. I just want to ask everyone a question again, and this is the same way. We're going to launch a poll. How many pages should your resume be? A, 3 to 4 pages. Include as much experience as you can. B, 1 to 2 pages. Keep it short and simple. B, sorry, again, that's a C. 5 to 6 pages. Include personal information along with experience and skills. So most of you are right. Yes, it should be 1 to 2 pages. It's fine to have a resume. You can keep that as your master resume, and you can always copy and paste from that resume onto your targeted resume that you're using to apply for a certain job. Just remember to format it. Actually, Rebecca will be talking about that. Just remember to format it according to the targeted resume. So yes, that is for sure. And as per mentioning any of your personal information, your age, religion, marital status, a picture, these things are a big no-no. So just keep it professional. The employer is going to hire you regardless of all of these things. So let's not pop these out in front of them. Okay, so we're going to move over to resume tips.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for facilitating the first part of this webinar, and I hope that you're all finding value in this. And you are a very interactive crowd, so I do appreciate all the questions that you are submitting as we are going through this webinar right now.
I know, and I'm very glad that everyone said 1 to 2 pages.
Yes. So we're just going to go into resume tips. So these are just some general tips, and of course this just applies for resumes in general. Of course there will be additional ones that you may have from different resources, but we'll just go with the ones that we have from our own experience. So the first thing is about formatting your resume. So you just want to make sure that you're using a very easy to read font, at least 12 points. So maybe you can get away with 11 points, but I would not do a 10 point or a 9 point. You don't want to make the employer squint when looking at the resume, and their goal is not to cram in as much as possible within 1 to 2 pages either. So just make sure that your formatting is also consistent as well. So that meaning if, for example, you're using Times Roman for one page, the second page should also be the same format and the same font. So make sure your spacing is also consistent as well as clearing. Clear bold headings. Also ensure that you have white space as well. It's not, again, a matter of cramming everything into 1 or 2 pages, but having enough white space also provides the employer a little bit more breathing room as well in terms of reading your resume. And just remember that it's not quantity that matters, it's actually quality. And a lot of times an employer could only look at your resume for how long?
Like 5 seconds. It's getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, 5 to 10 seconds perhaps, and it's really making a first impression. So you just want to make sure that you really summarize your experience and make it cater towards a fit towards the job description. So we don't need to know everything that you've done from your internship 30 years ago all the way to your most current job. So as we mentioned before, 1 to 2 pages is a good guideline for length. And your contact information on the top of your resume, for example, your name. So if it's Sonia Siddiqui, then it should be in 14-point font, so that way your name is easily identifiable. I also want to give a tip. Sometimes when you are applying for a job and it's not indicating the type of document that you're saving it under, saving it as a PDF is also a good best practice, just because sometimes the formatting might be different if you're saving it on Microsoft Word from different computers as well. And I would also suggest using only the past 10 years of experience. Unless there's something very specific that you want to showcase, you may want to include something maybe in 15 years ago. Your experiences 10 years ago is the most relevant and the most current as well. As Sonia mentioned in her section as well, you want to use right headers to break out the sections in your resume. So whether or not it's professional internships, anything like that, you just want to make sure that your resume is actually properly formatted and also very easy to read. And when you're using bullet points to list your responsibilities as well, you want to make sure that you don't use more than 5 to 7 bullet points after each one of your responsibilities. We will actually be doing a workshop later on accomplishment statements, but you should be listing not just your job description on there, but also your accomplishments in those bullet points as well. Sonia, do you also want to add a few things?
I just wanted to add that each bullet should be about 1 to 2 lines. I don't like saying 2 lines. I would just say 1 to 1.5, because you don't want a 3-liner bullet over there because it'll just look like a paragraph. So keep it short and simple. It's easy to read. And again, use numbers to quantify it so that it's easy to understand as well.
Thank you, Sonia. And also, we also want to encourage you to not use color on your resume. We didn't mention that too much, but if you have your resume in rainbow colors, that doesn't really catch the attention of the employer, or it might catch the attention of the employer in the wrong way. Also, avoid using capital letters as well for your fonts. Other than your headers, perhaps, you don't want to be just adding capital letters randomly all over your resume. And I would also suggest not bolding different parts of your resume other than your headers, because that also draws attention to many different parts of your resumes, but it also may cause it to not look as clean and tidy as well.
And I know a lot of people do that so that their resume stands out, or there's certain keywords that they want them to stand out. Your resume will get selected because of those keywords, so you don't need to bold them. Another thing, again, going back to what Rebecca said about using colors, try not to use those banners as headers, because when the employer does print your resume out, that's actually happened to me. I used to have it on my resume, and when you print it out, you can't even see my contact information or my name, and it was shocking to me because I could totally see it on Word. So just keep it clean and simple, that you want to make sure that whoever's printing it out, you don't know what software they're using. So black and white, simple.
And just a note, I do see some questions just regarding some of your individuals that are overseas. So please, in your resume, if you are landing within the next 3 to 6 months, also add in a point mentioning when your landing date is and what city that you're landing in. And if you are a PR holder, please also indicate that as well, because especially when you're overseas and applying for jobs in Canada, you want to make sure that it's clear to the employer that you are eligible to work in Canada and when you're landing.
Yeah, that's only for overseas. If you are a PR card holder in Canada, you do not need to mention that.
Okay. So that's all we have in terms of formatting your resume and tips. And the last thing that we really want to have you remember is to always have a positive mindset as well when you're writing up your resume. So never work on your resume when you're stressed out, too tired, or overwhelmed. Positive vibes attract positive results. And you also just want to remember that just because you send out one resume, it doesn't mean that just because you follow all of these tips, you will 100% get a response. There are many different factors behind that, and if you attended any of our past webinars as well, just regarding networking, the hidden job market, how to format your resume, there's many, many different types of factors, and just remember not to take things personally, like I always mentioned in my other webinars. Sometimes it's just a matter of just keep trying, and you never know what will happen.
And like Rebecca said, it's quality versus quantity. So you could be publishing your resume everywhere and not hear anything, but it's really important to sit down, take the time out. Honestly, it could take you up to 2 hours to target a resume for a job. So I know how frustrating it can get, and you're expecting a response. But please do put in that time, because it's worth it. You will have more chances of getting a call back on a resume that you've really worked on. And while you're doing it, just envision yourself that you're already working in that new role. Because just like a writer, when they're writing a book, they really imagine themselves in the picture, in that scene that they're writing up. So just do the same thing when you're writing up your resume. Truly believe that this is a role that you can do. And you should be applying to jobs that you really think that you have an 85% match with. So your resume should at least match by 85 to 90%, I would say. If you don't see it, don't bother applying to it, because you're going to waste your time. So it should be something that you really, really think that you can do, and you would be able to do.
Great. And for all of our other webinar events, you can also find that at accessemployment.ca/online event series. And you can also view any updates on there as well in terms of newly added online workshops. So just before we end that, I also wanted just to address our pre-arrival audience as well. So those of you that are joining us for the first time, you may have heard of the Canadian Employment Connections program. So this is an online job search support and networking type of program for you before you land in Canada. So if you are planning on coming here within 3 to 6 months and you do have a PR card, and you are within these 6 sectors, so engineering, financial services, HR, IT, sales and marketing, or supply chain, please do feel free to email cec@accessemployment.ca, and you can definitely get some more support for your job search before you come to Canada. And of course, please do visit our ACCES website as well. This is an online resource center, so it's filled with past webinar recordings, a number of infographics, articles as well, and you can view the website here, and we'll also send you the link as well after this webinar as well for you to access that. And feel free to stay in touch. So you can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, as well as Facebook as well, and we post all of our event updates on there as well as additional career resources from our ACCES page. So I just really want to thank you for participating in our webinar online workshop today. And I also want to thank Sonia Siddiqui as well, just for her great facilitation with us.
So thank you, Rebecca, for having me on here. I can't wait to do more.